Hello and welcome to another installment of You Can't Beat the Drums. Today I'm on my way to Puyallup in my trusty Magnum SRT8. And Puyallup is spelled P-U-Y-A-L-L-U-P. People not from Washington look at it and call it Puyallup. They have a lot of difficulty pronouncing it, but it is actually pronounced Puyallup, named after the Puyallup Indian tribe, I believe. But I'm not interested in Indian tribes today. Today I'm interested in Premier, because I'm going to look at a Premier drum set for $150. I think it has some low-end Sabian hi-hat cymbals, perhaps, maybe a splash cymbal. Don't know if it has a drum throne or not, but 150 bucks, it's worth a half-hour trip. Let's go find out what I'm going to be buying today. Here we are. There's the sign, Puyallup, 4 miles. See how that was spelled? See how it's pronounced? Now when you come to Washington, the evergreen state, you'll know how to sound like a Washingtonian. Now take a look at this. This is why Washington is so impressive. No, not the high tension wires. That beautiful big mountain in the background. You can't see it now because it's behind all the beautiful green trees, but every once in a while it will pop out and you'll see this incredible Mount Rainier. Now again, if you look at it and you're out of state, you might call it Mount Rainier or something, but no, that beautiful mound full of snow is Mount Rainier. You ought to come out and visit it sometime. It's pretty spectacular. Okay, so here we are. It looks like the gate is open, and we have a little pile of cymbals and parts, and looks like part of a hi-hat stand anyway, and some toms and a snare drum. A little on the dusty side, but hey, they're Premier. We'll see what all's in here. You've got the splash cymbal part of a stand there. You've got a pedal that's Premier pedal. Beater's a little beat, but that's okay. And then some soft pads. Looks like we've got a snare stand in there and a few other miscellaneous bits and pieces. So we'll get her home and see how she looks and what we've got all together once we get there. Well, they're loaded up and looking good. A little dusty. I think the spiders come at no extra charge. I've unloaded all the drums, brought them into the living room. I suppose this is the family room, but I do most of my living in the family room. And I have all the parts laid out to sort of see what I have. And I've been noticing a few things. One is that it looks like I've got 2 complete cymbal stands and then part of another cymbal stand, this extension arm. The hi-hat cymbals, again, lower end Sabians, but they sound pretty good. Some of these lower end cymbals do an amazing job, so those sound pretty good. We'll have to add a ride cymbal and probably even a crash cymbal to the set, perhaps, as long as I can get one at a good deal so I don't have to jack the price up too high. The various wing bolts there and one spring, I'll have to find another spring. That's probably either for the cymbal boom or the bass drum spurs, which are there. Comes with a drum key, which is always nice. And I have 3 drumsticks that came with it. And of course, they don't match. I've got the broken stick, which is fixed with electrician's tape. Every beginning drummer has been through that before. And then 2 other sticks that are close, but not exactly the same. There's a Ludwig stick and then a Vader stick as well. I guess if I have 3 hands, it would be handy, but the taped broken stick will probably disappear in the round file. The other thing I found that's kind of disconcerting is that on the floor tom on one side, you can see there's air bubbles coming up from between the clear outer section and the covering inside. I don't know if I'll be able to fix those, if I can peel that outer layer off and see how that looks. I'm not sure. I'll have to play with that and see. There's some corrosion on the chrome. Don't know if you can see that, but fairly corroded. I think I can get that off with a little elbow grease. We'll find out. Hopefully I can get these things looking really nice so I can sell them to somebody who will deserve them. Again, see a little corrosion on the chrome. We'll see how that goes. Overall, though, they look like pretty nice drums. The stands are very heavy duty, double braced. There's the snare stand and the cymbal stands. You can see very, very heavy duty on the cymbal stands. Hi-hat stand is good. It's got little spikes so you can ruin your floor, which is always handy. And it comes with practice pads so you can play quietly in case your parents or your wife decide they don't want to hear you practicing. And then, of course, the muffler ring for the snare drum, which half the people watching this will love, half the people will hate. It's really interesting how those feelings are erupting when you talk about muffling drums. Anyway, I'll get busy, get them cleaned up. The other thing I'm going to do is show you this. Most bass drum heads fall prey to the sticker syndrome. You'll notice there's all sorts of stickers all over this. I think there's nothing that makes a drum set sound better than putting a Edelbrock valve cover on it. Anyway, this is going to have a little cleaning session to get these off of here. I'm going to try not to take the Premier logo off of it. That obviously would be nice to leave on there, but I'm not sure if I can get these other stickers off without ruining that. That sticker's definitely going to go. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. I forgot to mention I did get this bass drum pedal, which again, they're all dirty right now. The pieces are not very clean, but overall not a bad pedal. It's got single spring, but it's chain drive and has this handy extension so that when you tighten and loosen the wing bolt, it tightens the clamp on the bass drum rim, which means you don't have to try to reach under the pedal, which is always awkward. The beater looks a little bit chewed up on this side, but I'm thinking if I just flip it over, that might help it look a lot better. I'll see what I can do with that once I take the pedal apart. But right now, it's on to cleaning the cymbals. That's the first thing I'm going to do. As is usually the case, the bottom cymbal is a little bit cleaner than the top cymbal, although in this case they both look kind of grimy. You can see the top cymbal has some green oxidization and other little black specks of miscellaneous origin. And then the small splash cymbal has a bunch of spots all over it, and even some parts there where it looks like the shiny, beautiful finish is actually worn off. So I guess I'll have to be careful when I clean this one, because this one may lose its sheen if I work on it too hard. We'll have to see. I will use your friend and my friend and the barkeeper's friend to clean these things. I love this stuff. It works really well on cymbals. And for those of you that don't like cleaning cymbals, quickly fast forward through this part so you won't see me clean the cymbals. Horrors! Actually, I think they look really great when they're clean. You do fade the logo a little bit, but as I've said in other videos, I prefer shiny rather than free advertising for the cymbal company. So here are the cymbals when they're done. You can see they're quite a bit shinier. This one had a coating on it, which is now completely gone, including the logo. But it has, I guess I need to wipe that off. It has a stamp that shows it is a Sabian. Same with these. These I left a little bit. You can see on the bottom hi-hat, there's a little bit of the Sabian left. And the top, there's just kind of the shadow left of it. But those also have imprints. But they look really nice, shiny, and for most drummers, at least especially ones that are maybe just starting out, nice shiny cymbals will add a lot of pop to the drum set. And they should sound pretty good too. So there you go. It only took about 2.5, 3 hours to do this, which is a lot of work for a little bit of shine. But you know what? I kind of enjoy this. If I didn't, I wouldn't be doing it. I have the pedal kind of cleaned up. You can see that looks good. I had to take the rod out and straighten it because it was a little bent. So now it's a little more straight than it was. But I still have to clean the beater because it was pretty gross. You can see that how dirty that is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little laundry detergent, mix it up with some water, dilute it, and then use that little brush and see if I can't get that thing to look a little more white. Well, a lot of steel wool and elbow grease later. I've got the chrome stands all polished and the rims look at how beautiful those rims look. It's amazing. This is high quality chrome on this set, you can tell, because it's really, really shiny. The bass drum pedal I mentioned I'm working on, I'm also going to clean the beater a little bit more. We're going to use some, what kind of alcohol is it again? It's like whiskey or something. Anyway, the stands turned out very nice as well. They look almost brand new. You can see how shiny they are. Amazing. Foot pedal's a little bit dark in some areas. I might try light sandpaper to get the aluminum looking good again, but I'm really impressed with how these stands look. Next, I'll take the drums apart and get the lugs all cleaned up and polished. Take a look and see what I can do with the finish, and then put her all back together. Oh, by the way, that's what's left over when you're using a lot of steel wool on dirty stands. Well, today I'm going to try an experiment. You see these bubbles on the wrap. Pretty horrific. I figure I've got nothing to lose really, so I'm going to try a hairdryer. Hairdryers can take dents out of drum heads. Maybe it can fix these too. Let's try it and find out. I tried to move the bubbles as much as I could underneath where the lugs will be so they won't show, but there are several places you can see where the clear film is literally flaked off. There's holes in it, and that's unfortunate. So I'm not one to leave well enough alone. So even though this side looks okay, the fact that there are these glitches on this side, I may try to use my Griot's Garage buffing machine to see if I can get some of these to be a little less obvious. I don't think it's going to work, but I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. There is a big chip in the bass drum hoop, which I'm going to attempt to glue and clamp in place with this, and hopefully that'll make it look a little more acceptable. We'll see how that goes. Then I'll move on to buffing the drum heads and the shells. Before I start the buffing of the clear heads, I'm going to do my famous clean the head with Comet routine on the snare drum batter head. You can see it's pretty dirty. Don't try this on Evans heads, because I tried it once and the white rough surface wiped off completely in about 2 seconds. With Remo heads, though, I've had pretty good luck. Maybe some Evans heads are, cleanable, I don't know, but I've used Remo almost exclusively my whole life, and I know that Comet and Remo, with a little gentle touch, don't be too aggressive, can make the head look a little better. I'll show you a before and after picture in just a second, so hold on, and you'll see that after I'm done scrubbing with my little Comet cleaner there. Well, as you can see, a little water, a little elbow grease, a little Comet, and a rag in just a few minutes makes the head look great. And you can see that it still has the coating. In fact, listen, you can hear it. Hear that? That's the sign of roughness. That's the sound of roughness, which is what you want if you ever use brushes. By the way, if you hear that voice in the background, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's my wife listening to Leading Edge Medicine with Dr. Jerry Mixon. So she likes listening to that show. So while I make the drums healthy, she can make herself healthy. So it's a big, happy family here in Washington State. I am now in the garage, and I'm going to be buffing the shells, and I'm going to be buffing the heads, the clear heads, to try to make them look a little cleaner, a little bit newer. By the way, there's my North kit right there, in case you haven't seen that. If you subscribe to my channel, you can see a couple of videos I've made about that kit and the drum heads I've put on it and so forth. Anyway, so I'm going to get the Griot's buffing machine out. We'll see what we can do to make these things look a little bit newer. Okay, well, the dogs are happy because I'm finished with the buffing of the heads and the shells. There's the bass drum beater. You'll notice it looks a lot better than it used to. I used a bunch of different chemicals on it, whiteners and cleaners and so forth. I even tried some, was it vodka or something? Anyway, that didn't work very well. But the OxyClean kind of thing did work, and some just basic detergent and water. The drum heads turned out great. They look really pretty, very clear and better than they used to. This one has kind of a weird bump in the middle, but I think that'll straighten out once we tighten it. One would hope that would be the case. The shells look beautiful. They are all buffed now with our Griot's buffing machine. And you can see how shiny they are. Very shiny. So we'll put it all together and see how the whole set looks. Now, the difficult part is going to be getting cymbals, because the trouble with buying used drums is that the cymbals are so expensive when you buy them individually that you end up spending way more than you can ever sell a drum set for. So unless I get some inexpensive cymbals for this thing, I'm going to have to make the price higher than I want. So we will see. I have a bid on eBay for a couple of weird cymbals I've never seen before, the brand name, and we'll see how it looks when they arrive, if in fact I win the bid. I probably won't. But still on the lookout for some cheap cymbals to add to the Premier kit to put it together for a good price for some lucky recipient. Well, I've been polishing all the lugs. I'm going to put a drop of penetrating oil in each of the little holes because the screws are kind of rough. One of them actually got stuck and broke off in one of the floor tom legs, so I had to use an easy out to get it out. That was a pain in the rear, but I got it fixed and taken care of. This drum's about the last one to put together completely. I've started to put this one back. As you can see, I've got the snare, bass, and floor tom all ready to go. They actually are looking fantastic. This hardware is amazing. It's really good. Anyway, so just thought I'd give you a little shot of part way through, getting in the final stretch of this. So that'll be another set to put together. I got to get some cymbals, like I said, but we'll see what happens in the cymbal world. If I can get a good deal, we'll be all set. I'm back in the laundry room with another cymbal. I found a used 20-inch B8 Sabian for $60, including shipping and tax. Actually about $61. So I'm going to clean it up, and of course everybody screams and yells when I clean a cymbal and wipe out the logo, but this thing's already had the logo sort of wiped off. And then I've got a $44 crash cymbal, another Sabian B8 I think, on the way. Not sure what kind of condition that's going to be in, but I will clean that one too, and then the set will be ready to sell. Looking forward to it. And there is the after shot, which you can see is and all polished up there. Very beautiful. Doesn't have a logo, but you can see the stamped logo, and you can barely see the Sabian logo. If you look really closely, it's still there barely. But I'll tell you what, that's going to look a lot nicer when it comes to put the set together and selling it. So there you go. I was excited yesterday when a cymbal arrived in the mail. This, of course, is a used cymbal. You can tell a little bit of polishing fading there, and then somehow looks like it was involved in a painting accident. There's little specks all over it, so I'm going to try my old barkeeper's friend again. I don't think I'm going to do anything with the bottom. The bottom's actually not too bad. It's got some fingerprints and things, but I'm not going to bother cleaning the bottom because it still looks pretty good. The top, however, I'm going to probably do. I think I paid like $45 for this or something, so that should be okay for a entry-level Sabian. We'll see how it sounds once I get it all cleaned up. And then I have somebody that's interested in this set already, and I haven't even listed it yet, so we'll see if they decide to go for it. And here is the after shot. Looks pretty good. Paint is gone, logo's gone, but shine is back. So the set's together. I got the cymbals all cleaned up. The drum's tuned fairly well. And I'm going to put it up for sale. I got a person who's interested already. And we'll see what they think. That's the way it sounds. the money I've got into it, I'm going to probably ask about $320 for the whole thing. Cymbals are all Sabian, good heads, good sounding bass drum. It's I think a pretty good deal for somebody. Well, in a few minutes, father and I think his daughter are going to come over and pick up the drum set. They're interested, and it's going to be a Christmas present. What a cool Christmas present. Other than a minor ding in the bass drum and a little nick on the front, and the floor tom, which the finish is coming off a little bit, the clear finish, but it doesn't really show at all. Other than those, this thing is in unbelievable condition. The cymbals look great. They sound good. The hi-hat stand works. The hardware is amazingly robust. It's really good hardware. This little throne I'm not going to sell with the kit. They already have one, so that's just to demonstrate it. But, I mean, the hardware is great and just looks brand new. Sounds good, looks good. This will look wonderful under the Christmas tree, except I think she's getting it before Christmas. Anyway, let's wait and greet them at the door. Hi, come on in. How are you?
Good.
This is
Ivy.
Ivy. Good to see Ivy.
Hi, and I'm Rich.
Rich, come on in.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
you
so
too.
much. Whoa!
There it is. There's the
Look
drum
at
set.
that. Oh my goodness, are you excited to try it?
So excited you're throwing your sticks
Right.
across the room.
Yeah.
Awesome. Why don't you sit down and
Yeah.
let me take these off.
Wow.
You can see what it sounds like.
Do we need to take our shoes off?
No.
Okay. First time?
Well, let me give you a little lesson. First of all, do this. Stay right there. Put your left foot on that pedal. Now keep it closed. Hold it all the way down.
Maybe you should scoot in the throne a little.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Here, let's scoot in the throne a little bit.
All right. And you put your left foot there and close it. Now take your right hand and go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. No, just keep it closed. There you go. That'll work. Now, every time you say 2 and 4, hit that with your other hand. 1, 2, right. That's close enough. Yeah, and then your bass drum goes on 1. So you go boom, tap, boom, tap.
Wait, this is a bass drum?
That's the bass drum. Yep.
Yeah.
That's called the bass drum. This is called the snare. You know that. Then you have a tom. These are called mounted toms or rack toms or ride toms. And that's called a floor tom because it sits on the floor.
We have bass drums at school. I haven't learned one yet, but I'm playing the snare and the bass. So
Yeah.
I haven't learned to do the bass drum.
Well, now you're going to be able to play them both at the same time.
Yeah.
This is called a crash cymbal. That's called a splash cymbal. That's called a ride cymbal.
I thought it was going to be like crash, splash.
Yeah, that's right. Splash, crash, splash, ride. There you go.
Crash,
But,
splash, ride.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is fun. And these are red.
They are red, and the only thing that's not fun is having to haul them around. But other than that, it's the greatest instrument in the world.
Yeah.
All right, here, let me show you the basic rock beat. This is what you're going to want to learn first. You want to learn how to do this. This is when I was talking about the right hand and left hand thing. You keep your right hand here, and it's 1 and 2 and 3, and this is on 2 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and the bass drum's on 1 and 3. So it's 1 and 2. And then you get more fancy ones like this. You can have all kinds of fun with it. So there's some other things too, bonuses. Check this out. What you also get is some stuff here. Now this little ring, this first ring, is to make the drum sound a little different, the snare drum. It doesn't really make it very much quieter, but listen how it sounds without it. And then with it, say a little deader. Some people like that sound better. Some people like that sound better, but you get this with it, you can choose whichever way you like it. And for you viewers out there, I know half of you viewers hate these kind of rings, and the other half love them. So now you can argue about them all day long.
Right.
And then these, my camera's oh, dear me, let's do this. Let's go like that. There we go, that's better. Now let me show you these. This is where your parents are going to be happy, because these are like little practice pad things, and this means you can play your drums without making a ton of noise. Now the cymbals will still make noise. What I recommend is maybe you cut out some pieces of cloth, punch a hole in them, and just drape the cloth over the cymbals. That will help make them a lot quieter. And then with the bass drum, you might want to tape a little pillow or something on the bass drum to keep that quieted down. Then if you have little cloth things on the cymbal and these on the drums, you can see, you can play it. And you turn this off, then it's even quieter. The bass drum is still as is the cymbal, but that will be something I think your parents will really like.
Yes.
Can you teach me how to do the button?
But
Oh, sure.
like if you tell a joke.
Absolutely. That's one of the most important things a drummer could ever know is how to do the ba-dum. Okay, here we go. So what you do is first you do a little quick thing on the snare drum like this. Whoops. First you have to turn the snare drum on. That's rule number one. But then the bass drum. And then this little cymbal's the best one for that. So you go like that. So, alright, let's see if you can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. You got it right there. That's
Okay,
good.
tell a joke.
Okay, I came up with this one. What do you call a bee that can't fly?
What do you call a bee that can't fly? I give up.
A major buzzkill.
Very good. A major buzzkill. All right. Well, there you go. We'll pack the thing up and get it in the car for you.
Thank you.
I hope you practice a lot. That's what it takes, a lot of practice. And if you practice well and keep at it, someday you'll be famous. And then I'll be able to come up on a concert afterwards, and I'll come up behind stage and I'll say, "Didn't you buy a drum set for me?" And he'll say, "Get away from me, I don't know who you are."
No, you'll see, come back here and eat at the buffet.
There you go.
That's all that I would want.
All right, looks like it's going to a good home. That's
Thank
great.
you. Well, I'm a graduate student, and so money's a little bit tight, so we really appreciate you making this opportunity possible for Ivy so she can get into drums full scale.
Well, I'm
at such
excited
an
about it.
affordable price.
Yeah,
So-
and the hardware is really good. It's a good little set, so I think it'll last for many, many years if you take care of it.
Yeah, it's made in England, Ivy.
So. All right,
Okay,
we'll pack her up.
thank you.
There's the familiar sight of the car all loaded up, ready to head home, and Ivy's excited. And I think this is a Christmas present. Is that right?
Close your
Fantastic.
eyes, you're not supposed to see it yet.
Yeah. So, okay, you're going to practice, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and when your parents tell you it's too loud, you're going to stop practicing, right?
Maybe.
Well, thanks again. I really appreciate your coming over. Have fun with this thing, and we'll see you later.
Drum on.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.